Alright guys, so this is a very important video. It is of course about NIO China, NIO Inc., the Hefei government, the whole bailout deal, and some deadlines are coming up very soon, and it could potentially rocket NIO stock to the moon on that date or crash it down. Now of course NIO wants it to rocket to the moon and nobody wants to see it crash down. So what is this whole big entire thing? So let's talk about the good side, all right? And then we'll talk about the bad side, because you guys always get fed up with the bad side. So as part of the contingencies of the whole entire bailout that happened back in early 2020, NIO was running out of cash. Hefei government injected cash into NIO, essentially moved the assets from NIO Inc. to NIO China. They got money now, but NIO Inc. only owns a portion of NIO China, 90+%, but the government, the Hefei government, owns the remainder, and some other big whales own the other parts of NIO China. And there's a big contingency to this all. And that contingency is, of course, they have to apply for listing for NIO China no later than 48 months since the deal happened. And that brings us to July of 2024. So NIO has to apply to list NIO China before July of 2024. And the other contingency is, of course, NIO has to complete the listing no later than 60 months since the deal. So NIO has to complete listing of NIO China by July of 2025. This is very, very important. And there are several things I want to talk about. We'll talk about the bad stuff later, all right? So let me first explain how it could instantly rocket up, all right? Stay with me. The good stuff is, of course, NIO fans in China will finally have an opportunity to invest in the company that they love. Yep, you heard me right. Chinese people cannot buy NIO stock because it's not listed in China. NIO is listed in Singapore, in the US, in Hong Kong, but not domestically in China. And if you want to buy NIO stock, you would have to have a Hong Kong brokerage account, which most people cannot even apply for. And you also have to be able to move money outside of the country, which most people cannot do. It's very difficult to move money outside of China. So what you end up happening is a lot of NIO owners that want to buy stock in the company, they can't even buy it. The only way is for them to either travel to Hong Kong, open an account over there, bank account and also brokerage account, or have someone do that for them, or if they're just really, really wealthy. So just from that aspect alone, a lot of enthusiasm and the patriotism isn't pushed via buyers for the stock. So with NIO China being listed in China domestically, there's going to be a lot of buyers, NIO owners as well, NIO fanboys in China. China being one or two in terms of the population in the world, there's a lot of people that really love this company. So there's going to be a massive boost for NIO China's stock price. Now, how does that affect NIO Inc.'s stock price, which is what you guys are holding, you guys, the shareholders? And by the way, this is none of this is financial advice, all right? It just means that you guys own 90-something% of NIO China. As of May 13th of last year, 2022, they own 92.11% of NIO China. NIO Inc. owns that much of NIO China. I don't know what the numbers are right now, but it's probably higher than that, all right? So you can think of that as the minimum threshold, 92%. So what that means is if you have a lot of investors' interest in China, people buying up NIO China stock, and it just goes to the moon, and you get a company valuation of 100 billion, then NIO Inc. owns 92% of that, at least, all right? So wouldn't that mean NIO Inc. should be worth at least 92 billion? You get what I'm saying here? And the real interesting thing is, here in China, your short sellers are not allowed. There's no short selling. You can only go up. You can only buy and hold and sell. There's no such thing as short selling here in A shares in China. So that just means that unless somebody's dumping, big whales are dumping, then you're going to see very natural share price appreciation, how it's supposed to be, and not manipulated down by short sellers. So what you'll end up happening is this tug of war, all right, between NIO China stock price and NIO Inc. stock price, NIO China stock price might be propped up really high because there's no short selling allowed. And if you own 92% of that, I mean, NIO Inc. stock price has got to go up as well. But then at the same time, NIO Inc. also has short sellers and shorts that can push the stock price down. So it's going to be a very tight tug of war. But needless to say, this is beneficial. This is good. Now, here's the real kicker, all right? If for some reason this gets denied, I don't see why they would be. But if they do get denied and they fail to list before July of 2025,
or if they fail to apply. But how do you fail to apply? Which I'm sure they will not forget to apply.
Then NIO will have to pay back all the money that the Hefei government injected. And that comes up to about at least 4 billion RMB, all right? 4,019 million RMB, which is approximately 550 million US dollars. They got to pay that up. That would, of course, be not very good. That would not be very good. Now, the big question is, does NIO China qualify to list here in China for A shares? Well, to answer that, we got to look at the listing requirements.
Well, to quickly see if NIO qualifies, there's 5 different metrics. For the first one, you must be profitable, no. Second one, profitable, no. R&D must be less than 15% of revenue, no. Number 3, net cash flow from operations, no less than 100 million. Well, NIO hasn't been profitable yet. Number 4 and number 5 does allow NIO to qualify, NIO China to qualify, no less than RMB 300 million in last year in operating revenue. That is easily achieved, and also estimated market value is of course over that amount, and number 5 as well. So NIO China would obviously qualify.
Well, as we can tell, NIO does in fact meet the listing requirements for A shares here in China. So NIO should not see any hiccups, in my personal opinion, not financial advice, about listing NIO China here in China. However, I think just the news of NIO China listing will send the stock upwards, possibly. But hey, that's something to keep an eye out for. The dates are approaching very soon, July of 2024. You know, the funny thing is, when NIO was really close to bankruptcy back in late 2019, and I haven't bought my NIO yet back then, but I was on the NIO app already. A lot of people were saying, how do I buy NIO stock? I want to buy NIO stock. It was at like $1-ish. And it just shows that there's a lot of people interested in the stock, but they can't buy it here in China. So that is NIO's next big goal, to list in China. NIO China get listed, and that's going to be a big boost for NIO stock as well. And also, that just means that we no longer have to worry about paying that 550 million back to the government. So that would be a huge win. I know there was a lot of information in this video. Please like and hit the bell if you can. It does help me a lot. So as always, stay safe, stay healthy. Peace out.